Hi there, Lorccán again. I got some questions about body mechanics for throwing shots, how the shots work. My honest recommendation is go take a look at Sean Kirkpatrick Tarragon's YouTube channel. He's got a series of breakdowns on the basic shots that are really good. They're better than I believe I can add anything significant to. He lays the groundwork really well. I strongly recommend you watch those, you work the lessons that he's teaching, and then come back here and maybe I can add some things on top of that. But one of the reasons why I really appreciate Sean's approach is his stuff is not based on any physical characteristics you have other than like basically 2 functioning legs and at least 1 functioning arm. It's not based on height or strength or weight or any of that. It's efficient body mechanics that work and that are safe for your body and your joints. So a lot of things that people, especially young, strong people, do in the SCA and fighting that ends up taking a significant toll on your body over the years. And it's not necessary. The amount of force that we require to land a good shot, just about any functioning adult can do with the right mechanics, and can do with the right mechanics a lot more easily than trying to force through it. And again, good mechanics usually is harder to read from an opponent. If I want to throw a shot at my opponent's head, I'm going to throw it as smoothly as I can. I could throw a big roundhouse and might land, but a big problem with that is this can be understood about this early by the opponent. When you're watching, you see the shot coming out here, it's pretty much going somewhere in here. It's really easy to see coming. Whereas most switch angles, if I'm going, yeah, you saw that. That doesn't really work. If I'm here, that's much less immediately obvious. Yeah, you can see it, especially when I'm going slow, but it's much less of light going on in your opponent's head going, here comes that shot, here's what he's doing and when, and I can easily block that and I can hit him where he's open. It's just a bad deal for you. Much better to focus on something that is cleaner and tighter in your movement, that keeps you in a better position to act and react. I hope that background noise isn't wiping me out. If so, I'll make notes. When you're doing any SCA, rattan strike, you should be relaxed at the beginning of the shot and relaxed at the end. What I mean is, if I'm here fighting my opponent, I may have tension in my shield or I'm holding it up, something like that, but my hand and wrist in particular, they need to be relatively relaxed in order to throw smoothly and precisely. And as the shot is happening, I'm tensing muscles to deliver the shot. But as soon as it's landed, bang, I'm relaxed again. I'm letting the shot go. I'm recovering to do something else. This will wear out your hand. It'll wear out your forearm. And it won't actually give you very good range, because if I'm really gripping hard, I can only reach about that far. I can reach substantially farther just by relaxing more, and still hit harder than if I was like someone called gorilla gripping or hammer gripping. These are things that really add up over time and affect your fighting stamina, as well as how quickly, how smoothly you throw the blow, how much range you get out of it, and how well you recover from it and deal with what comes next. The way that we normally think about it these days is every shot can be its own independent event, even if they're coming fairly closely together. So let's say my opponent here, I'm throwing a snap to the head. Oops, that was blocked. Okay, snap to the leg. Oh, that got blocked. Offside to the head. Each of those blows was 1, recover, 2, recover, 3, recover. Each one's recovered back to my center where I've got full control of the weapon, where I could throw any shot I'm thinking of, anything, anywhere. That's different from what we sometimes call a combination. A combination, in the way that I'm talking about here, is a set of blows that flows together in a tighter pattern where we're not doing a full recovery between each shot. For instance, a forehand shot to the head, relax, offhand shot to the head. I didn't recover all the way. I could still deliver good power with that combination because that's a shorter path to the end of the shot. But the only reason even that works is that I strike, I relax, and I let this motion happen before I tense up again to deliver power. Hope that makes sense. Something I talked about with footwork, but I need to talk about again in terms of shots, is steadiness. If this is my opponent, it doesn't matter where I'm going on the target normally, unless I literally can't reach it without rising or lowering. I'm going to stay at a steady height. If I'm striking for the forehead, okay, if I'm striking for the leg, bad aim, you get the idea. If I'm striking for the ribs, the hip, chest, I'm not bobbing up and down to do it. And one of the reasons is that it's harder for my opponent to see exactly what I'm doing if I don't bob up and down, if I stay steady. But also, if I'm rising or lowering, some of the energy that I'm using for the shot is being wasted going up or down. So for instance, occasionally I'll see people go and rise up into the shot. If you did the same shot forward, you hit with more power every time. Likewise, with a big dip down. If you need to lower, it's better to squat a little bit and get just enough to reach the target than to dive. Diving, again, puts more energy, go in the direction of that dive, whether it's rising up like a lunge or diving down, instead of putting all that energy into your opponent, which is the idea. The less energy you have to use to get a shot going, the faster and tighter and harder to read it can be. If you put everything you've got into it, chances are your opponent's going to see that coming from a longer way away. It's going to be easier for them to deal with, even if it's a lot of power. All that power doesn't necessarily help, because we don't play a game where you can smash their shield to pieces and crush them under it. We play a game where one good shot in the right place ends the fight. So, better to work with that in mind. When you're looking at the basic mechanics of any of these shots, where your feet are, as long as they're in a stable position, should not matter much. If I'm leading with my shield leg as a right-hander, and I want to throw a snap to my opponent's temple, then what's going to happen is I'm going to drive with my leg, I'm going to turn my hip, I'm going to get the sword moving, and extend. If I change, I've got my hip cocked. I'm I'm wound like a spring. I'm going to drive off the ground, turn my hip, extend my hand. It's the same thing. You'll find that there are advantages and disadvantages to this, but it doesn't completely change how the shot works. The shot works just the same. Normally, if I'm leading with my sword leg, one difference is that I have a bit more reach compared to if I lead with the shield leg. With my core in the same spot, I can extend a little farther because my hip and shoulder can extend a little farther than if my core in the same spot, my feet are switched. Another important difference is that when I'm leading with my sword leg, these targets are closer to my opponent. My shield is out here. This is not a bad thing, but it's a choice. It brings your offside, your sword, and your offside head. It brings this closer into your shield and closer to your opponent's strikes. If I shift my feet, now I can get my shield in the way of my opponent to a greater degree. These targets back here are further from my opponent. I can keep my sword arm better protected, and the stuff that is directly behind my shield is directly behind my shield, really well protected. You're basically giving up a little bit of range for a little bit of defense. I prefer this. I prefer the opportunities this gives me and the ways that I can move with it. But it's not a right or wrong. If any of that doesn't make sense, let me know.